going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. This is your 2025 TNA Rebellion preview, and that is Jake fucking DeMARCO. What's going on, buddy?
Unlike The Rock, I show up. I'm telling you, it's been an ongoing, nonstop Mania Week extravaganza. We're almost to the end. We just have one more to go, the SmackDown after Mania, and then our week has concluded. But wait. There's one more.
There's more.
But wait. There's more. This one's a screamer.
I'm not going to lie. As much as I'm higher on WrestleMania than most people are, from the
you know how high I am, Jesus.
True. From the general consensus, I'm higher on WrestleMania than most people, both nights, other than the main event of night 2. It's kind of nice to talk about something other than WWE, even though they're like tangentially related and whatnot. They had their sort of part of WrestleMania show, Unbreakable, that I still haven't gone back and rewatched yet, but two big news pieces coming out of that. I can speak, I swear. Steve Macklin being the first ever international champion. We went over it on your stream a couple of days ago. Not the person that I necessarily would have chosen, but it doesn't break my heart either. And we have
by a long shot, really.
We have an immediate rematch. They're using the we're going to get to this, but like they're using the simple logic of Steve Macklin won, but Eric Young wasn't pinned, so he's the first challenger. I don't mind that in the slightest. The other big news coming out of Unbreakable was what's his name? Chris Bay walking out on stage, getting his flowers. Huge, cool, positive moment, and one of those, like, even if the rest of the show sucked, like, net positive. Everything else was kind of like a somewhat of a preview or a mishmash of stuff we're going to talk about tonight. We said it before we came on the air. The Gallon Center in, where the hell are they? Los Angeles. It's a pretty decent looking venue. We've talked a lot about venues in the past little while.
It looks nice.
It looks nicer than the Las Vegas venue that NXT was in the other night.
No doubt about it.
Milo doesn't like it, clearly. I can hear that.
No, he's angry about that much.
See, I can hear your dog. I just can't hear your soundboard. What are we talking about here?
Or that could be the soundboard. You never know, right?
Anyways, and there's no warming up in the bullpen. I don't have any pre-show matches listed here because, yes, we are recording this on Wednesday before the go-home show. I'm sure there will be more added. I'm sure there will be more interactions, etc. But we can only go with what we have so far. The signature title and the signature match of TNA, the X Division, in an Ultimate X match. Moose defending against Casey Navarro, Leon Slater, Matt Cardona, El Hijo del Vikingo, and TBA.
And before we even get into the TBA, really quick thing I wanted to say about the weekend and everything for TNA as we build into this show. They got the ultimate promotion this week, did they not?
Yeah.
I mean, it cannot be overstated. I feel like Vince, if he's already rolling in his grave, but just add a few more spins. Yes. I see him, the TNA title being on his WrestleMania against his Randy Orton. Oh, that must have burnt his ass, because you always heard how he never acknowledged them as competition or anything, but he still hated TNA's existence. Jarrett's pissed him off and whatnot. So seeing the crowd's reaction, everybody wanted Nick Aldis. Everybody wanted, they didn't want Solo Sikoa. They made that clear. Nick Aldis, would have been better, but not the perfect choice, because the perfect choice was already made. Yeah. Say his name and he appears. And there are so many people online saying, oh, they don't even know, the audience won't even react. People won't know who he is. And he got probably the second loudest reaction.
See, and here's the problem with that. A couple years ago...
Hey! I'm going to kill this dog.
Okay. A couple years ago, I would have said that, they're not going to know who he is, was a dig at TNA. Realistically speaking, I think the conversation has changed, and they're not going to know who he is really a dig at WWE fans, and if they're WWE fans, they live in the WWE bubble and blah 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 blah. I think the criticism has almost reversed itself, whereas WWE is the one right now that's bad for acquiring AAA. They're bad for working with Noah. They're bad for working with Bloodsport. And it's like, well, if they don't do that, then you say that they're dicks and they live in a bubble. And if you do that, you say they're trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
I said it to somebody. I think I might have looped you into the conversation on X at some point. There's a lot of things to do with what is it, Double or Nothing taking on Battleground on the same day in May.
Yes.
First of all, it's hilarious that the AEW fans are admitting that they're afraid of NXT.
Right.
Second of all,
even though they've only won the ratings war once, and the whole we've gone 289 weeks. We beat obviously WCW Nitro. We are now the longest running. If you gave your money to WCW and continued to pay, they would still be in business today. They didn't go out of business just because of bad business.
I said it on your stream. If all three of the major North American wrestling promotions were on an equal financial playing field, TNA would smoke AEW.
Absolutely,
because they put on a better show, and I'm sorry, over the last 20 or whatever years it is, they have inspired a rabid fan base.
Absolutely, and they have a lot of loyal followers.
Like, people stick with TNA through the highs and the lows, and let's be real, TNA's had some lows, so that means somewhere along the way they've inspired some loyalty. Right?
Yeah.
But also it's just crazy that, do it over here, it's fine, do it over here, it's not fine. But this whole like competition thing, we want to be competition, but don't actually compete with us. We're gonna smoke WWE, and yet we're scared of NXT. But here's the thing, and Jake, I don't want to put your name on this without putting the question to you first. WWE is so petty. Everything they do is so petty. Everything they do is so petty, right? I don't think it's true. First of all, like, you don't have a monopoly on the wrestling calendar, right?
Exactly.
There's a little bit of me that wants WWE to start being as petty as they're accused of being.
Absolutely.
Because do you know how petty they could be?
They could screw over a lot of people, a lot of things, especially with their ties into the WWE ID system now. They basically have a managing control of the independent scene without really, like, it's incredible how they have their hands in every pot in such a way now.
And the thing is, they don't have to buy every, like, they've just amalgamated AAA. That's a little bit of a different conversation, right? But they don't have to go out and buy their competition anymore because people want to work with them.
Exactly. So they're getting these business agreements, and their
ID program. Like, the best thing.
That's the whole point of the ID program. Like, the future stars being, cultivated today.
I don't go to a whole lot of indies. We know this, other than Destiny. Yes, check it off your Spaz Phoenix bucket list, it's fine. But if Destiny, and I'm not going to tell Destiny what to do either, but if Destiny came along...
The last time you told Destiny, she slapped you, so...
Oh my goodness. But if I saw a flash up, the last flash up I saw is Destiny's actually coming out of hiatus. They just announced their Summer Heat show.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Which is awesome. Can't wait to see what's on that, because Dijak's our champion right now.
But think about how many people they've fed throughout the years because of TNA feeding them.
Of course. Well,
Destiny's
not just that.
Had a huge helping hand from TNA throughout the years.
Not just that, though, because it started in Santino's gym. Like, I've literally seen people from everywhere. I've seen people from NXT, NXT UK, WWE, AEW, MLW,
But what I'm trying to do is put the showcase on TNA in the sense that for the last 20 plus years, if you weren't on WWE, TNA was the place to grow your name, and then you can use that name to go to the independents and make money.
Fantastic. But no, but my point being now is that the independents themselves want to work with WWE.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't want everybody to be absorbed. I don't want it to be an actual monopoly, right?
No.
Just the fact that TNA
I don't want WWE to buy TNA. That would
be... No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would rather they... thicken the friendship between the two. I don't want TNA to be another brand. That's not what we're going for here. But the fact that they don't have to, they had to buy WCW. WCW was never going to work with them. People want to work with them now.
Exactly.
I want Destiny. It's my only point of reference. I'm sorry. But, I want Destiny to exist as its own thing and thrive as its own thing. But if I walk in there one day and the Destiny logo has the little WWE ID tag on the side of it, That's going to be exposure. That's going to be exposure for the talents that are there. It's going to be exposure for the brand. And then more people are going to know who Destiny is. Guess what? I talk about Destiny a lot on this channel. But me, on my little channel, with my little 1,300 subscribers or whatever.
Yeah, don't knock yourself short. I get your point, but
I'm sort of making an exaggerated point.
I get you. But
I can tell 1,300 people that Destiny is awesome, and if any of them live near Toronto, hopefully one or two of them will actually go.
Damn straight. But that gives them a global audience.
But if they get posted on WWE's socials, like one retweet from WWE does more for them than if I did a video on Destiny every day, and that's not me putting myself down. That's just me being realistic.
Yeah, they have the reach. They have, and my point before was, I was trying to show how friendly TNA has been to the wrestling world, as where WWE wasn't for a very long time.
Oh, for sure.
They screwed over independents. They were, it just wasn't a good. Now with Triple H, having the NXT mindset and seeing how their system worked for developmental and then what they turned it into, TNA has been a great thing. And for them, like you said, they worked with Destiny. They worked with a bunch of different companies. WWE hasn't had that mindset. And that's why I wanted to point out that TNA has been pro wrestling for 20 years, is where WWE has been sports entertainment and money. And now, everything you're seeing today is, what metric did they break? And they broke them all. The ticket gate and sales and merch and,
I don't want to hear WWE bragging about money. I want to hear WWE bragging about numbers.
Exactly, not finances. Charging people an arm and a leg. I sent you guys that video earlier. The women that were there were being interviewed for the front row seat, and they're like, it was worth $30,000. And I was like, what?
Ooh.
$30,000 to go to fucking Mania for one night in the front?
I better have one of their hottest divas sucking my dick for $30,000. I'm sorry.
Or Hogan.
Oh, it tickles. Anyways, my point being
that works for him, brother.
Is I'm happy for TNA. I'm happy for the working relationship. It was really cool because TNA was showing more NXT footage than NXT was showing TNA footage, and I was really hoping that they would sort of even out the playing field on that. Kind of hit me off guard when they showed the highlight package from Bloodsport on NXT. I thought that was really
I was
cool.
Not expecting,
because that's entirely out of their
what they did with Jordan Grace as well. The promo package they made for her, showing all of her TNA
with all the TNA footage. Yeah. Now that's a little bit different. Now you could say that they're just hyping up a star that is now theirs. And I know that argument's going to come up, and it's kind of valid, to be fair.
Oh, it is valid. It's self-serving, but my point is, even that was a little jarring to see.
Really good, yeah.
Then they show Bloodsport, and I was like, holy shit, they got GCW on NXT? Damn.
Nice. It's good. And Noah, and you had Mirufuji in the back talking to Ava about, going back to Noah and acknowledging the partnership and all that. It's very cool, very handshake. I'm sure there's people that have different feelings about it behind the scenes and all that kind of thing. That's always going to happen. But it seems like it's going pretty good. And what's his name? Granted, Scott D'Amore is no longer in the company because he was kind of ousted by Anthem, which really sucks. But then again, we got MLP out of it. But even he came out and gave you a point by point, we worked with AEW and it was shit. Now, who knows? If they tried that working relationship again in a couple of years, they might do better. But it
could be different, yeah.
But he could only say, hey, this is what we did at the time, and this is what it did, and this is what it didn't do. Because all they really did was hand over their belt to somebody that doesn't work for them for a bit.
Yeah.
Anyway,
well, like you said, the professional landscape, professional wrestling landscape keeps changing. It keeps evolving and adapting, and that's the thing. And a lot of fans are in on it. We know and we see how things work, and it's like kayfabe no longer exists, and that's a topic that I want to talk to you later down the road. Yeah. Anyways,
about the WWE Unreal.
Yeah, not even just that. That's part of it. But there's a lot of things with kayfabe, basically, because you see people talking nowadays, and they're like, "Oh, my character," instead of like, "I went to go change who I was." Like now they're saying my character needed to develop. My character, there's that whole detachment. I don't mind it either, but it's just showing how things are advancing and changing.
I know there's people that want to. And I say this lightly. I say, they tune into their wrestling and they want to live in the ignorance a little bit, pretend that it's real. It's still real to me, damn it. I understand it, but we're adults. It's fine. But switching over to the card, though.
Yes, it's going to be a stellar show, and they've got quite a few surprises on this. Yep. And before you even get into it right away, they basically went ahead and said Joe Hendry, getting all his flowers. He did great on Tuesday, and he was probably the highlight for a lot of people on NXT TV this week. And a lot of the complaints was the audience being very tired and whatnot, but they still went nuts for him. He said, we don't need to reveal who it is, but we have a very big WWE talent, not just someone from NXT being part of the show. And he says, Tommy Dreamer knows, for Rebellion. So he's saying, let me read the quote fully. He said, we don't need to reveal who it is, but I know Tommy Dreamer knows who I'm going to be speaking about here because this person told me that you guys had a conversation. You said you wonder who might show up at Rebellion. Out of the WWE megastars who has a tour bus, told me they wanted to show up to Rebellion with their tour bus.
Are we getting Cody?
I don't know.
Because the only one that, in storyline, has made a big deal about having their own tour bus and getting attacked by his tour bus or whatever, it makes me think Cody.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wanted to mention the quote. So he said, we've got WWE megastars who want to get involved.
Do you know who... Oh, okay, I'm going to have to change the order of things for a minute because we do have Elijah versus TBA, and I don't even know where this TBA came from. Maybe it's
He basically he came out the week before and made the open challenge. So I think it was during it was either the countdown to the pay-per-view the week before Mania.
They didn't have a countdown because they did the regular episode of TNA.
That's what I call countdown. Yeah, it was like the build-in go-home show / preview.
Especially with how frustrated he is right now, and with all the really cool shoot interviews he's doing right now, I'd love it to be Killer Cross.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And that was one of the things I wanted to bring up. The last quote about Triple H told Joe Hendry, "You'll be here again," before he went out to go out for the. Well, that's the actual quote he said to him before he walked out the curtain. Yep. I mean, imagine you're hearing everybody, you're getting ready to get in place, you're going to face Randy Orton, Triple H looks at you, and the last words you hear is, "You'll be here again." That's amazing.
I was going to say, I saw a brief clip of him, and he's the people that were hyping him up the most in the back after his appearance and his thing with Orton were Triple H and Cena. You can't go very much higher.
You brought up the point with Cross too, and elevation. Everybody this weekend, rightfully last week of Mania, we should say, or the Mania around Mania week. Killer Cross does that impromptu interview promo kind of, with the recap of Mania show, and he walks in there and he cuts this hellacious, scathing promo. I put it up as a short. It's booming over there. Got 2,000 views. Hell yeah! And they went ahead and made magic. Yeah, but people know that's not. A lot of people are like, oh my God, he's shooting. He's telling everybody to go fuck. It's not real, folks. We know this. The majority of wrestling fans know it's not real, but they suspend disbelief to go along with it and enjoy it. That's why I want to have that conversation about kayfabe.
I said it to you going into Mania. There's all these really cool stories going on. We know where this is going. We know where this is going. And we're kind of waiting for something like where the fuck did that come from to happen.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure for the rest of 2025 that something is going to be Killer Cross, or Karrion Kross, I should say.
Yes, I think you're right.
He knows what he's doing. He signs off the interview, tell the guy in the suit and tie in the back that Killer Cross said fuck off or something like that.
Yeah, go fuck yourself. Yep.
But he
knew how to make a viral moment. It was the MJF, you fucking Mark, fire me, you fuck, that kind of idea. But this one worked.
I've sort of changed the order of the matches around because I figured that would be a great TBA for Elijah if they are going to do a customary opponent. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to say to you from Unbreakable. Moose had his open challenge, and it was kind of pointless for him to have an open challenge when you knew that Ultimate X was coming up, but him getting the answer from Reggie, or Sidney Akeem is his name now.
Yeah, because
really
for tonight we have Joe Hendry and Elijah taking on Ethan Page and Frank Kazarian, and obviously that's going to be the triple threat going on, forward up.
Yeah.
But I thought they would have thrown Elijah in maybe instead of having him have an open challenge. But hey, it works. You can see what they do in the future. We got Tessa Blanchard.
We're gonna get to the main event because I have a theory on the main event.
Well, this is for Impact tonight, so we got them in the tag team. We've got the Namath visiting the Hardy.
It's Wednesday.
Sorry, I'm thinking it's Thursday. Look at that. I'm still in the timeline of you and I doing this then. So we're
By the time people are listening to this, it will be Thursday. So.
Exactly, and that's why it's a perfect preview in my head. So you guys will go ahead and check out Rosemary taking on JC Jane. You got Tessa Blanchard in action. Joe Hendry and Elijah, as I said, in the main event, taking on Ethan Page and Frankie Kazarian. Yep. But the highlight for me is going to be, I imagine, the name it's visiting the Hardy compound. So
yes, I need Guapo here to do his
he does a great
Matt Hardy thing.
He nails it. Yes.
If only Matt Hardy was a luchador.
Right.
Oh, but if he was a luchador, he'd be signed by WWE. Anyways, moving swiftly on. So here's what I'm saying, right? Like I'm doing like 6 degrees of separation for a second here, right? Because you've got Moose versus Casey Navarro versus Leon Slater versus Matt Cardona versus El Hijo del Vikingo versus TBA.
Yes.
I don't want to overlook Moose. I'm really a fan of Casey Navarro. Yes, again, I'm biased. He's the Destiny New Era champion. It's fine.
Check that off my bucket list.
Leon Slater's killing it this year. Matt Cardona coming back always gets attention. Here's where I'm saying something else, though. El Hijo del Vikingo is from AAA, right? AAA just made a deal with WWE.
Yes.
And I went on the Lucha Libre AAA, wiki today, and I was just going to say, like, let's see who their other champions are, see if there's anybody I recognize. Obviously, Alberto El Patron, I'm leaving that one alone.
I love how we got the report that he was fired, and it was from, like, the fake Meltzer accounts.
Votes, yeah,
Wessel votes and all there, and it's like,
but the AAA...
people hate him, and it's a groundswell.
I didn't know this, but the AAA World Cruiserweight Champion is another guy that spends a lot of time in TNA as well, and that's Laredo Kid. So I'm wondering if it comes full circle that TNA that works with WWE brings in not one, not two people from AAA who are now working with WWE to round out the Ultimate X match. I don't think I'm right on this, and I don't think it's going to happen because I think it's either going to stay with Moose or maybe go to Leon Slater. I'm pulling for Casey Navarro in this.
Okay, so
Casey Navarro's a lot of fun. El Hijo del Vikingo is kind of in and out of TNA. Like they announce him like a month in advance when he is coming back, but then he like fucks off again. I don't know what his deal is. Obviously, he's doing AAA stuff. Maybe he's going to be doing WWE stuff with El Grande Americano at Worlds Collide. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. You made a great point previous, too, because it's always good to have a base for the high flyers to go off of, for people to have the offset and offensive moves. So the to be announced, I'm still not sure who it's going to be. I'm kind of all over the place, and... It's also
interesting
good.
Part. What I love about the X Division as well is every now and then they'll throw in a title reign to remind you that the X Division is not a cruiserweight division.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
They had Josh Alexander as the X Division champion for a while. I think Jonah was at one point. I could be wrong. Right now it's Moose. Obviously Moose is not a cruiserweight, but just going off of his performance at Unbreakable and the fact that I think he's a fun guy in general, and the fact that we could play off a little bit of tag team action in the match, Casey Navarro's tag team partner is AJ Francis.
Yes.
I think AJ Francis in an Ultimate X match would be hilarious, but also he's great with little guys, and he's great at being a base, and between him and Moose, you've given everybody else in that match a virtual and a literal springboard. So now the predictions are either, what the fuck was his name? I just saw it. Laredo Kid. I'm a bad person. It's either Laredo Kid,
okay,
or it'll be AJ Francis if they're just doing another surprise person from in-house, and combine that with Karrion Kross coming and killing Elijah.
That's interesting.
So there's your first two. I want to say Elijah's going to win his Open Challenge, but I really don't know. It's going to depend who it is. Because it's not like Moose when he did the Open Challenge when there was a title on the line and you knew he had another title match coming up. I don't know. Like, I'm happy that Elias, whatever, is in TNA. It's cool to see him on my TV screen again. I really don't know what he's necessarily doing there. He kind of like showed up to show up.
Yeah.
And so maybe this gives him something, and they immediately put him with Joe Hendry because they're both musicians, and I'm like, that's adorable for a night.
It was fun for then, but it wasn't anything long term, certainly.
No. So I don't know. Elijah versus TBA is 50-50, and the X Division Championship match, I'm going to go with either Moose retains or Casey Navarro, even though I'm probably wrong.
I'm not sure who the TBA is going to be. That's the problem here. Like you said, it could be something that he does a quick squash with, or it could be a WWE megastar, like you said, and he gets squashed. Imagine if it's Cody and squash him in 30 seconds kind of thing. If they're... Because there's no other set surprise on here, and they're saying it's going to be a WWE megastar with a tour bus.
In this match specifically?
No, but I'm saying if they're having a surprise, and this is one of 2 TBAs, is the surprise going to be here? I'm saying that
I think they go through the 2 TBAs to give you that false, oh my god, did we really get a superstar or did we just get somebody? And then like fucking Cody Rhodes shows up at the end of the night or something like that.
Big, yeah.
You know who would be? I don't know how you make it work because he's.
Doesn't the Miz have a tour bus?
Miz on TNA could be interesting, actually.
I wouldn't hate that.
Because I don't know whether the TNA crowd would like embrace him or boo him out of the building.
I think they'd embrace him. He's really at that point now where he's kind of earning his flowers. People have seen, like, this guy's been here for almost 20 years at this point. Yeah, he's put in everything. And even when he was given, like, the worst creative and shit stuff, he still was one of, like, the top heels for a while. Like, when he was doing the stuff with Cena on SmackDown and they were feuding, like, that was one of my favorite feuds of his. It was so damn good.
Here's an interesting hill to die on. I think Miz is the best when he's making shitty content good.
Yes.
Like I'd almost rather see him in a shitty story making it good than in a good story. Now that's not great for him because I'd also just like him to have good stories. But
no doubt. But he makes shit better. Absolutely, I agree.
You know who would be really? I got 3 names that I would love if you're just doing like a straight up TNA NXT more talent exchange type thing. Mm-hmm. 3 names you could put into that X Division Championship match that would make it better. Axiom.
Okay, yeah, that's a huge grab.
Nathan Frazier.
Yeah, because both men, obviously no tag titles, have the opportunity.
Javon Evans.
Javon's probably the best name because he's in a precarious spot right now where he's got a bunch of exposure. He was in the main event of NXT's biggest show of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, they have something with this kid.
If it was on NXT, putting him in the North American title picture right away after being in the world title hunt would seem like a downgrade, maybe depending on who you talk to. But the X Division title is so like this is the TNA, TNA's prime title, like sometimes over the world title, which is absolutely fine. I don't think it would feel like the same kind of step back. But we don't know who's in there right now. I'm going to pull for Casey Navarro just because I like him, and he's a Destiny champion. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Check that off your bucket list, too. But I guess Alan Angels left the company, they said earlier today. Oh. I don't know what that does for Violent by Design, but, I mean...
Yeah. I haven't seen... I don't think we've seen Violent by Design as a group in a bit.
Yeah, it's been a long time anyways, so...
Cody Deaner kind of does his own thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of doing their own thing, let's talk about some NXT versus TNA. We got Fatal Influence.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think Elijah will win. I'm going with the opposite. Okay. I think he'll win his. I think, like I said, Moose retains, but Elijah will win here.
I think when we see who the TBA is, it's either Elijah's going to kill somebody or Elijah's about to be killed by somebody. I don't think there's very much in between.
Yeah, it's either a squash or a squash.
If it is Karrion Kross, Killer Kross, like he kind of has to. Like they could almost play it like we know there's a working relationship, like, but we can almost play it off like Karrion Kross is like so pissed off at WWE that he's left and he's going to spend some time in TNA. Like,
Kross just cut one of the best videos out ever today, where he's walking down the street of Vegas and someone's like, "Wait, you're a wrestler?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm Roman Reigns," and he's hilarious, and it's just everything he's doing right now.
And the thing is, right now, like everybody knows there's a working relationship between the two companies, so they would know it was just a story. But people would buy into that. Like, yeah, I told WWE to go fuck themselves. I'm here now. Hey, Joe Hendry, how about you give me a title shot? Like I think there's enough stock in Karrion Kross, Killer Kross right now that people would just go with it, like whatever it is.
Yeah.
But before we get into main event stuff, I will say Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley, JC Jane, and Jasmine Nix. Please leave Jasmine Nix alone. She's not responsible for whatever her boyfriend said that you didn't like. Versus, that's her full name, really. It's on her birth certificate and everything.
Yeah.
Versus the thrown together team of Rosemary Zaya Brookside and Lei Ying Lee. I didn't mess up her name this time. I think this is going to be good. I think there's no title involved. I think this is the safest match to give the visitors a win.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's no title involved in this. You can also play it up as Fatal Influence is an actual team, whereas Rosemary Zaya Brookside and Lei Ying Lee are. I fuck it up all the time, and I don't mean to. Because I every time, if I try to say it quickly, it sounds like I'm saying Laying Lee. Yep. And that just sounds like a bad joke.
And I still try. I go by Xylee still all the time. Yeah. Like I can't shake that.
She's in there with Zaya Brookside, so
I know. So
Zaya Brookside and Rosemary are doing that sort of like that opposites of
Xylee, Zaya Brookside, Zaya Rosemary. You got them all there. Yeah, they're not a real team, and Fatal Influence is still established. Although I do as well, but here's the issue: Fatal Influence has been having some problems. They're having trouble. So maybe this might be the here's that word again, catalyst, the start to the real breaking point of this group, because the faction that they've had essentially 2/3 has been together for how many years now? Because they had what was it, Fatal Attract? What was the original with Mandy Rose?
Oh, Toxic Attraction.
Toxic Attraction. There we go.
Yeah, but that was JC Jane and Gigi Dolan.
Yes. So when they dropped Gigi, you know what I mean? So it's like you've had that iteration of the group still surviving with JC for how long? And it's been years. So
JC Jane even stopped in at Chase U for a bit.
Oh, God, I forgot about that.
Turned Thea Hale into a grown-ass woman.
I forgot about that shit. But
now, I will say there's the other side of that as well, is the Rosemary Zaya Brookside, Lei Ying Lee team can look at Fatal Influence and try to sow division amongst that more established team, and that team that might be the thing that brings them back on the same page. Like, go fuck yourself. We're a team. We're coming into, we're the invading force. We're coming to your neck of the woods.
Yeah, because there's really no set way to do it anymore. It's not like, the NXT people are coming to TNA, so they have to win, or TNA has to win because it's their show and the NXT people are just visiting. That's off the books. Like, there is no requirement on either side. So the way I break it down,
there wasn't a whole lot of crossover on Unbreakable or on Stand and Deliver Oi Oi Oi. So, it seems like both shows are kind of converging here, which is kind of cool.
Now, because they wanted to each put on, from what I saw online, they wanted to each present and put their best foot forward for what that week and weekend was, and then try to do everything else as, continual working relationship, as we see on this show.
And now this is going to be a much stronger. This is going to be a much stronger show. A week out, the dust is settled from WrestleMania, but people still want something to do on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, we said it at the time, Unbreakable was going to be fun, but it was a decidedly minor show. It was, we put something together to be part of WrestleMania weekend, but here's the pay-per-view we're actually building to.
Exactly.
And
it was pretty much just the last
anything wrong with that.
No, the intergender match was fun. The main event was good.
Because they used to, not WWE, TNA used to do multiverse of matches. And I think it was them and Noah and New Japan and somebody else. And it wasn't even in a facility. It was in one corner of whatever wrestling convention was happening.
Yeah.
Which is a different kind of vibe for sure, but cool that they actually.
Yeah, but they're not the GCWs anymore in the small halls.
No. But so yeah, I'm gonna go with NXT on this one, only on the logic that one's an actual team and one's not.
I mean, they might have some dissension in the ranks, and they might be, having some issues, but I still think Fatal Influence pulls it together because they are the real team here, and they'd probably save more of the breakup stuff for NXT TV, is my thought.
Fair.
I just didn't know if it would play into this match or not at all.
One rivalry that I'm loving on TNA that I think is really awesome, even though I think it's touching on some pretty sensitive issues for some people, is Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali. They're going at it this time in a Falls Count Anywhere match. This
is going to be fucking brutal. I'm really... Oh, Mike Santana will be on the TNA episode as well tomorrow. Today, for those listening, because he's going to come out and, cut a badass promo. But I like Mike Santana. I liked, him and Ortiz for a long time. It was sad to see them split, but I like what Mike's done to really hone in on his own himself since the split.
Yeah.
He's found a way to make himself, I hate saying undeniable, but it is true. I mean, you look back, they didn't really have that much buzz as single stars, and now everybody wants to see this match for the most part.
Yeah.
Mustafa Ali is fucking great. He always makes the people he works with look better than himself, which has always been not a negative for him, but negative for his aura, his presentation, because he's in there.
It's the same thing that befell Ziggler in WWE.
Yes.
You get really good at making other people look good. They're going to keep using you to make other people look good.
Exactly.
But him doing the politician gimmick is great. He's got he adopted the good hands and renamed them the great hands, which I thought was really cool.
And he's ruffling feathers with his political stuff online, so it's gaining traction, and he knows what buttons to push.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say, and I have to say it because it should be acknowledged. It doesn't bother me, but it's an issue that's out there. They're doing the whole substance abuse stuff with Mike Santana. He's a wrestling character. It's all good. But they did the thing where, like, he brought one of the other people from his support group to come and, like, work in the back in TNA, and then that guy got abused. And it was like, okay, that's not a wrestler. What are we doing?
Well, people are upset because they started off when he put the beer in front of him, and they're like, oh, he's trying to be sober now. And if he wasn't okay with it, come on, that's the whole point. They did this with CM Punk and the straight edge thing.
This is where I'm saying, like, if they were doing it with him, fine, cool, he's obviously signed off on it now. But now you're bringing in the idea of another character that's not a wrestler, that's just somebody who's being abused for their issue.
Okay.
I can see where, like, it's not an issue that I have. It's not my place to. I'm being dead serious with this. It's not my place to say because it's not an issue that I have. That taking the abuse and whatever and projecting it now onto a non-wrestler character and making it just that little bit, I don't want to say over the line, but very close to the line. I have seen some conversation about it online that's been fair, but like, hey guys, maybe this isn't it. And it's hard to ignore. It's one of, I keep saying the same thing over and over again, but it's like, it's not a conversation that I'm in. So for the people that are feeling a certain way about it, maybe leave room in the conversation for them.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. It doesn't bother me, but I will say, like, they're getting closer to the line than wrestling usually does. Like you say, it would usually, like with Jericho and Punk back in the day, it was two wrestlers being shitty to each other. But like now you've brought in this other character that's not a wrestler to just shit on him because he's got substance abuse issues.
Yeah, like, what's the line though? Like I'm the addiction you can't beat. Like it's a hell of an angle, but it's an angle. We've seen this done time and time again. We've seen controversial angles before. I mean, they had Matt Hardy kill Jeff's dog, in the storyline. They burnt his house down. Like shit. But again, that comes
down to like a wrestler and a wrestler. I think a lot of people are saying like, what is the purpose of singling out somebody of the same issue that's not a wrestler, that's just like, hey, you suffer with this, therefore we're going to pick on you. And again, I say,
but it was all part of the story. That's how I look at it. See, it was all to put over what they were trying to do, because he's basically showing, I had a friend, but he's like, he got into an accident, and now his consequences made him relapse again. Like, that's the point behind it, and he's just trying to hit home the addiction angle.
Like I say, I'm not saying they shouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm saying I've seen some conversation out there, and not taking a side, but leave the door open, let the conversation happen, because it's one step closer than wrestling normally goes, and people are going to feel a certain way. I don't think it's people just being offended for offended's sake, like they do with other things. It is a legitimate issue, and it's something that a lot of people out there in the world suffer with. So those people that know what those issues are like, they should speak about it maybe instead of me.
Yeah. I mean, when he came in, Mustafa was like, I'm the leader that people need to see. I'm the one that needs to happen.
Yeah. Anyways, the some of the darker storytelling issues aside, Mike Santana is awesome. He's a believable badass. Mustafa Ali's a fantastic wrestler. I was really lucky to see, and I sent you the video as well, him versus Gabriel Fuerza here in Mississauga. Fantastic match. Put him over. He was the X Division champion at the time, and he said, we're going to fight again, and next time there's going to be a belt on the line. That was how they capped off the Destiny show, which was real. And let me tell you,
that's a hell of a statement.
Mustafa Ali live is insane.
Oh, I know. He had one
insane.
of my favorite matches, and like I said when I went previously, I was like, God damn, this guy we saw him at SmackDown in the Cruiserweight division. He had the best match, not just of the night, but like out of the whole year that I saw. And holy hell.
It's cliche, and people use the cliche way too much, but it is true in his case. He just gets it.
Yeah, he absolutely he knows how to maximize the minutes he has in and out of the ring. He knows what he's doing. Like he said, he said he's going to use this platform to expand his character himself, and he's going to make sure that there's a process here where he no longer gets bottlenecked. I think that's great.
Yeah. But he's definitely getting his ass kicked on Sunday.
Yes.
Mike Santana's going to kill him. I still want to see Mike Santana versus Damian Priest.
Yeah. Hey, it works.
See it. All right. You want to do some more TNA crossover?
Yes, indeed, sir. What do we got coming up next?
Knockouts Tag Team Championship. Ash and Heather by Elegance versus The Metaphor versus Spitfire versus Gigi and Tatum.
Now, we just saw Gigi and Tatum not be able to capture the women's tag titles on NXT from Liv and Raquel. I almost, in a way, wish we didn't see them lose there and saw them won here. I think the title run of Ash by Elegance and Heather was pretty much just to be a pop, in a sense, and then they'll hold on to them for a little bit, and then eventually it's to send the titles over again. I don't think they'll be champs much longer. Out of everybody there, Spitfire had a run with the titles, and I think Gigi and Tatum could be a great TNA tag champs because one, they've been there wrestling there. They're pretty much TNA stars regularly at this point.
Well, it's the same as we say about Cora Jade.
Yes.
And I don't get what the logic of it is, and I don't have an explanation for it. Cora Jade looks more comfortable in a TNA ring than she does in an NXT ring.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but it is what it is. My thing is, Gigi and Tatum lost on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, what were they doing? It was a special episode of NXT. They were in the middle of Vegas. They were
facing main roster stars.
They main roster champions.
Yes.
So now, if you picture WWE is above NXT, but NXT and TNA have been put on an equal playing field, which kind of puts WWE above TNA, which is kind of a shitty thing to say. But it's like, if we can mix it up with main roster WWE people, maybe we can slide sideways over here. Now, that being said, as far as who's gotten more exposure and more build and more momentum, here's a switch up from Tuesday. As much as I would love it to be Gigi and Tatum, I think it's going to be Jakara and Lash Legend, and they'll be the first ones to bring a title over the line.
So, I wouldn't hate that, but I feel like Gigi and Tatum are owed it in a way. They really, Gigi had been doing a lot on pre-shows and kickoff shows for TNA for a while, so she wasn't even on their television stuff. She was just doing dark matches for them.
I believe. Oh, I'm going to get this wrong. The first time Jordynne Grace ever stepped foot into NXT and challenged Roxanne Perez, that was for Battleground. You're grounded, battlegrounded, but Mom. I'm just Canadian Adam Wilborn. That's all that's happening right now. But before that match actually happened at Battleground, You're grounded, but Mom, Jordynne Grace was on a minor Friday TNA pay-per-view and put out an open challenge.
Yeah.
And it was answered by Tatum Paxley. I really hope somebody corrects me down in the box below. I think Tatum Paxley was the first one to hop the line over to TNA.
Yeah. I think so. I think you're right.
I think. But
I think you're right.
I think she was very much.
Because I remember saying that then too, being like, "Oh, and it was such a big deal."
I think she was very much brought in to job for Jordynne Grace and build Jordynne Grace for Roxanne Perez. But there's space for that, right?
Exactly.
But I will say, take my own biases out of it. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend are awesome. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, out of any of these teams here, they've been featured on Raw, on SmackDown, on NXT, and on TNA.
Yeah,
They've got the rocket pushed up their ass, and it took me a long time to like sort of jive with them as a team, because they were very much a comedy group in the beginning.
Yeah, with the metaphor
under Noam Dar and with Oro Mensah and the four, and they were kind of obnoxious and whatever. And
people saying he was blown up to death, you know.
And Lash Legend. Remember when Lash Legend had like the 1 minute talk show?
Yeah.
And it was like, so it's like whatever, but like they're a solid team. Like when they were going, when Bianca and Jade were the tag champions and they came down to NXT, you knew they weren't gonna drop them to Jackson and Lash, but Jackson and Lash put them through their paces for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would love to see Gigi and Tatum, honestly, but on a more realistic tick, if they're going to finally bring a title over, cross the line, so to speak, as I'm overusing, I think your smart money is on Metaphor.
I see your point. So the Meta Girls probably have the best chance realistically, but I'm gonna still go with my feelings over my my gut and reason. Yeah. I'm gonna go with wanting Gigi and Tatum, but I don't see Ash and Heather walking out of here champs much, or at least not for much longer. Like this is gonna be probably the next. If they don't lose them here, then the next one they'll lose, because it's. And the thing is,
as much as I like Spitfire, like if they win, it's just another round of ping pong between Elegance and Spitfire.
Yeah.
And even people I know that are really high on TNA are like, okay, they're just ping ponging those belts. Because you know what, the other thing that benefits from that is if Gigi and Tatum or if the Meta Girls bring it over onto NXT, that means we get potentially Spitfire on NXT.
Yeah,
which would rule ass.
Which would be great. I like Spitfire a lot.
They're fun. when they go to Battleground, you're grounded, but mom, and they beat Double or Nothing, because that's what's going to happen, and AEW fans are going to cry. Do it with NXT and TNA.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing. Totally separate. I know we've talked a lot about the AAA thing, right?
Yes.
The NXT, I don't think it's going to be versus, but like the NXT and AAA Worlds Collide pay-per-view. There's no way TNA doesn't elbow their way into that situation too, right?
Oh.
Considering how many AAA people perform on TNA every now and then?
Yeah, there has to be something.
I mean,
how could there not be?
El Hijo del Vikingo is here. Okay, who's he representing today?
Yeah, which faction is he, or which company is he representing now?
NXTN AAA.
Yeah, there you go. I like the.
Nice.
Would you say NMXT? We got.
Oh yeah, NMXT. That's what it's going to be if they actually do. I love taking the piss out of it. If they actually do rename it to NXT Mexico, I won't be able to defend that.
No,
I'm just saying.
That's a far cry.
Okay, you're going with the girls that I want to win. I'm going with the girls that I think are going to win.
Yeah.
So in this TNA tag title match, we don't think anybody from TNA is winning. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the other way around for the International Championship. It's a first defense. Macklin's going to take out Eric Young. Maybe the Northern Armory get involved after the fact. Maybe they do some more storytelling with that. Steve Macklin might get himself some backup. It'll be a solid match, but I can't
picture Macklin losing the title on his first defense.
I don't think there's much jeopardy here.
Really, no. Now Eric Young's in the position too of like the veteran that puts other people over. Yeah.
Now, granted, like somewhere down the line, Eric Young might do something for that belt.
I mean, at least he's in a main match, not being buried at just on TV like Alexander.
Put him in the Callis family.
That cuts you deep, doesn't it?
They beat him on his debut, and they jammed him in the Callis family.
For nothing.
On the same night that they brought up Athena to bury her for Mercedes.
Ego. They gotta put themselves over.
It just makes me sad. Just because Sasha Banks has all the bruised kneecaps does not mean she can't lose a match every now and then. I'm an asshole. It's fine.
Well, so you would think, but she's not losing. She made that pretty clear.
Hardys versus the Nemeths.
Gonna be fun.
I'm gonna say the gut feeling I get on this. Hardys retain, but the Nemeths are gonna do something dastardly either in the match or after the match.
Yes.
It'll be like, oh, they couldn't get it done, so they like break Matt Hardy's face or something.
I mean, they are in the Hardy compound, so anything is possible. But
not for this match. This is the regular tag match.
Oh, this is a regular one. That's right. They're there this week.
They're going to the compound.
That's right. I'm switching them in my head. So
it's basically going to be a go home segment at the Hardy compound.
When the Hardys face them, like you said, they're gonna retain the titles, but I agree there'll be some shit afterwards, and that'll lead to a stipulation match.
Yeah. TLC?
I don't see this something like that, because I don't see this ending soon.
Full Metal Mayhem.
That would be great.
What's the match that they do? I can't think of the name of it. Friggin' somebody's going to be listening and they're going to be screaming it into their headset. But no, there's that match that they do. It's like a super duper whooper hardcore match where they're all in the kayfabe of it is they're all in isolation the day before, and
yeah,
I can't think of the name of it now. You're just going to Google like fucked up TNA matches.
Yep.
Nice. If you find it, let me know. But
let's see here. It's not the Barbed Wire Massacre. That's what they keep bringing up, but that's not it. We'll find it. It's Hardcore Justice is not it. Come on, people. Give me something.
Barbed Wire Massacre was interesting. What's his name got his tongue stapled to the ring?
Yeah, that was a
choice.
Mm-hmm. That was a choice.
I still don't give a shit about Mance Warner, though, so...
No one does, sadly. You aren't alone. Everything he did in GCW even.
Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball. There you go.
That's what it is. I had to think of like who did it originate with. It originated with Abyss. Abyss is the monster. Monsters Ball.
I couldn't think of the goddamn name of it for the life of me. Once I'm clicking through matches, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. As the folks across the pond would say, we got there in the end.
Indeed.
Hardy's win, Nemeth do something terrible to them afterwards, leading to another match later on down the line, pretty much, probably Slammiversary.
Yeah.
Next one, because I want the world to burn, Tessa Blanchard wins the Knockout Championship.
Yeah.
I love Masha Slamovich too, so this makes me kind of sad, but
yeah,
at the same time, I kind of want to watch the world burn, because fuck cancel culture.
Exactly, just lo and behold.
And it's not like she's not good. Like, can we get over this? Can we get over the I don't like this person, therefore they're not good thing?
I wish we could. I mean, out of all the silly conversations to have, really. So I would let Tessa win here. And I know that sounds insane, but...
I'm sorry she hurt your little fifis. But this is the real world, and nobody cares.
You might be blaming me for buying some for poop audio. Guilty as charged, but let me tell you what. It was sloppy, and it's worth every second. No, really, Tessa, she's divisive for a reason. I feel like her as a champ would be immaculate levels of great heat. But I don't want it to be go-away heat. But I think it could be. I don't think it will be. I think it would be to the point where people are so angry that they're going to want that.
Do you know what
her
I want?
Destroyed. What's that?
Like, I know it's TNA and NXT, but if we ever did a proper, like, TNA versus WWE pay-per-view, headline it with Tessa Blanchard versus Charlotte Flair.
Ooh. Now that's divisive.
You gotta cheer somebody.
Yeah, I think the fans might just, they doth protest too much. No, they would just go ahead and probably just leave.
They get that, what does WWE do, the pay-per-view decibel meter now? And it would just be boos.
Or just silence.
Yeah.
Silence is worse than the booze, unfortunately. That's...
You know what's funny is, at this particular point in time, you could send Dominic Mysterio out there to stop the booze.
Go figure, too. You know, people were booing him, not because they didn't like him, because it was part of the act and it was fun to drown him out on commentary and not let him talk. And he's suffered the fate of so many. He's got so good at being a shithead, people started loving him. Mm-hmm. And how many times we've seen that happen before? I keep saying it, but man, like, watch it. That's the thing about WrestleMania, like, going back to that, like, how can you not be happy for, like, Joe Hendry and Dominic Mysterio and, I don't know who else, Io Sky and... Oh, yeah, it's everybody that earned it, absolutely. I don't know. Underdogs like Seth Rollins. Yeah, he would certainly... He needs the benefit. Bro. Dangerous Alliance is back. And funny we brought that up, and now everyone's like, oh, imagine if. No shit, that's what they're aiming at.
Here you go. Oh, man. You know who's a big superstar?
Who's that?
Paul Heyman.
Ah.
What if we come down to...
Literally and figuratively. I see what you're doing there.
It's true. What if we go down to NXT with his new Dangerous Alliance, and it's like he has to take on, like, I don't know, fucking Eric Young and Hammerstone versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker.
Ooh,
I don't know where the
crazy.
fuck I pulled that out of, but...
Hey, that's a match. That would be a hell of a match.
I would have said Josh Alexander, but Josh Alexander's gone to the dark side.
Yeah,
and
no
kidding.
kidding.
And I don't mean Brandy Rhodes. Anyways, moving swiftly on, Tessa Blanchard's going to win, and everybody's going to be mad, and I'm going to laugh. Now, here we go. We talk about titles crossing the line, right?
Yes.
I don't think Frankie Kazarian's going to be a factor in the triple threat match for the main event. I think he's just going to be there. He's going to be like TNA's version of The Miz, like he's been doing. Basically, I think Ethan Page walks out as your TNA World Champion because Trick Williams shows up and fucks over Joe Hendry.
Ooh. Okay, Trick and Joe is happening.
Yeah.
They're definitely making that. This is Kazarian's Call Your Shot match.
Yeah.
What if we get the title off of Joe to further that feud, like you said, with
Trick?
Mm-hmm.
Because then Ethan Page goes around NXT bragging that he was the one to bring the title over. I guess you can't do that and the tag titles in the same night, so maybe I'm wrong about the tag titles, but they don't set up an embarrassing moment for Trick Williams like they did on NXT with somebody who's 6 days out, 5 days out from a title defense if they're not doing something.
So even if it doesn't cost him, I could see it being on the way to, but I have a hard time saying Joe Hendry loses here because I think there's still a bit more, but how much more are they going to do with him in TNA before they send him to WWE is really the question.
And it is the get out of jail free card of it's a triple threat match. You don't even have to pretend. You don't even have to have a ref bump because there's no DQ.
Exactly.
Unless, because there was a little bit of a show of respect between Joe Hendry and Trick Williams, or between Joe Hendry and Obafemi, even though Obafemi was like, don't make the same mistake Moose made.
Yeah, don't pull this shit.
You're not as big as Moose, little man.
Don't do the same he did.
Just do the Seinfeld soup Nazi thing. You're pushing your luck, little man.
No soup for you.
But wouldn't it be funny to play out an entirely NXT story on a TNA pay-per-view? Trick Williams comes out to try to fuck over Joe Hendry, and Obafemi comes out and stops him, and somehow Frankie Kazarian gets in the mix because he doesn't want to be left out of the equation. Like he plays the Io Sky in this situation, and Frankie,
that would be so good.
But how good would Obafemi be at just destroying Frankie Kazarian like the twat that he is?
Oh, lifted him up and tossed him around like nothing. It would be so much fun.
Obafemi comes out, takes out Trick, takes out Frankie Kazarian, and like high fives Joe Hendry and gives him sort of a Punk Heyman like you owe me a favor for later type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll
worry about it afterwards.
They're gonna do champion versus champion at some point down, like after whatever happens with Trick happens. They're definitely lining it up as a Obafemi Joe Hendry, not because they hate each other, just champion versus champion.
Yeah.
Thing. Because Joe Hendry carrying around the NXT championship wouldn't be a bad introduction to WWE either.
No, certainly not.
I think it's one of those everybody in this match matters except Kazarian. Kazarian is there just so that it's a triple threat match, so we can do fuckery. But I'm gonna go with the wild one here. I'm gonna go with Ethan Page dethrones Joe Hendry. Frankie Kazarian loses his Call Your Shot gauntlet opportunity in the middle of all of it. Joe Hendry is now pissed at Trick. Maybe Frankie Kazarian's pissed off at Obafemi. Who knows?
Who knows?
I've
right?
overbooked the hell out of this. And meanwhile, while all four of them kill each other, Ethan Page just walks away. Ooh, I've got another title.
Yeah, just gets to go ahead
and then they play the ego music like really loud over everybody else bickering, and he just like walks away smiling with the belt.
Ooh. That could be fun.
The more I'm saying it, the more they didn't even explain how Ethan Page got into the match. It's just Frankie Kazarian came out to make the announcement about his Call Your Shot champion thing, cash in, and Ethan Page showed up on Impact and said, "Yeah, well, I'm in that match too."
Yeah, exactly. Here I am. Deal with it.
Anyways, it's gonna be fun though. Like there's a lot of interplay. There's 3 different interpromotional matches at least, not including the TBA in the X Division match and the TBA in the Elijah Open Challenge. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I predict that it will raise my excitement levels after NXT was a little bit of a dud in Vegas.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. And the reason, like we said earlier, on air and off air, that it was a dud is just it was a lot. Those crowds.
Everybody was tired.
That was how. You never mind all the other shows they saw, but a lot of those people got the multi-day packages for stuff. So they were at Raw, Mania, SmackDowns, maybe not everything, but most of it. More than one show. So people were just tired. It was the same crowd from Thursday onwards.
We are kind of in the WWE bubble, but think about how many other shows they could have potentially been at that weekend. Plus,
that's what I'm saying.
Plus WWE World, plus WrestleMania After Dark was like a 5-day thing.
And the roast and all that stuff. So.
But I think we've gone ahead and talked this one to death. This is definitely not a WWE podcast where we talked about a lot of WWE. Spaz is tired. I'm going to call it quits right there. Jake, tell them where to find you.
You can find me on YouTube at Jake DeMarco or Countdown Ended. Make your choice. You can find me on Rumble, on Instagram, on Twitter /X, all at Countdown Ended. Feel free to message me. DMs are open. And we'll be doing the live review of the SmackDown After Mania this Friday. And then we'll also be doing this Sunday, the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view with your good buddy Spaz.
Yeah, we will. It'll be a good time, and you guys know where to find me or you wouldn't be here. I've been Spaz. This has been Jake. We are your YWC Reality Check. This has been your preview for TNA Rebellion 2025. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
No off season.